All right, so let's talk about me a little bit more. I've been full-time Bitcoin for about 4 months now. Previously, I worked in web development. I've been a programmer since as long as I can remember. I did QBasic when I was a kid. I loved making little programs, and I got my degree in computer science. I graduated, started working in web development. I heard about Bitcoin again last year when it rose like a crazy value, like $260, up from like 30, I think, before that. And I became interested in mining. I had mined Bitcoin when it first came out, and I thought, wow, this is really cool, but I can't really make any money with this, so I turned it off and lost the hard drive, and that was just a terrible mistake. So I got back into it again, started mining Litecoin, started getting into the scene, and I started learning that there are more coins available that were forked off this open source project. And being an open source guy myself, I use a lot of PHP and JavaScript in a lot of my web development work. I decided that this was a really cool cause, and I really liked the ideals behind Bitcoin, so I was able to do some research. When I was mining Florincoin from the first day on June 17th, 2013, I realized that Florincoin in the block explorer had additional fields within the blockchain that make it totally different. And I realized that this is actually the exact coin that I would have made had I been given the chance to work hard on C++ after work and stuff. So Florincoin is a script-based cryptocurrency with quick transaction processing. It's based on Bitcoin and Litecoin source code with improvements in several areas. Florincoin also introduces a new feature, transaction comments. The transaction comments enable Florincoin to facilitate a number of unique applications and enhancements within the blockchain. So this is actually a preview of our new Florincoin website, which we're launching this week. And yeah, so Florincoin has transaction comments. What does that mean? That means in the Qt client, when you send a transaction to someone else, you can actually send a message up to 528 bytes to the person that you're sending it to. So you can say thanks for lunch, or you can say hello, or you can build an entire protocol upon this messaging field. Because all the messages are stored in the blockchain, they're decentralized throughout the entirety of the network, meaning however many computers are backing up this data is the resilience and the network effect that Florincoin has. So let's talk about some uses for Florincoin transaction comments. The first one is ColorCoin. We heard Daniel Emmer talk about bit shares and proto shares and how you can have different asset classes stored in the blockchain. And I think that this is something that Florincoin can facilitate very easily using the transaction message field. In the same way that Mastercoin and Counterparty store data on the Bitcoin blockchain, Florincoin uses the transaction comment field to more easily do this, and without having to store it in addresses and hide things in bytes and pay a lot of Satoshis or destroy Bitcoin to be able to store that information. So I think that ColorCoin within Florincoin and altcoins is a way to experiment without a lot of red tape. So the messaging field can be used for ColorCoin. It can also be used for something called proof of existence, which is where you post something into the blockchain and you're basically carbon dating it within that block. So the block was, let's say a block is created on April 1st, 2014. Any data within that block is timestamped alongside with the block and all other transactions. So you can be sure that the network has agreed that upon that date and that time, all of that data existed. So having data within a block actually gives you a notary or a legal contract signing mechanism that hasn't existed before. People are doing this in Bitcoin, but I think Florincoin is suited for it as well. And it reduces a lot of the friction within the development community for getting these things and applications out there. So yeah, let's talk about this stuff a little bit. So this is colorcoin.org, which is my website. And the idea is to use the Florincoin messaging field to store data in the blockchain. And if you want to create a coin called Bluecoin, you can go into your Florincoin Qt client. You can issue a blue coin or 1 million blue coins and give them out to whoever you want. All of this data is stored on the blockchain. As you can see, the transaction ID is linked in that table. And you would be able to actually go to the block explorer and see that the data for the transaction actually was created. The source code is available for ColorCoin, and there's a white paper that I wrote on ColorCoin that describes how you can, as a user, create any type of asset that you want and put it onto the Florincoin blockchain. Now, Counterparty was the first to market in this field. Florincoin ColorCoin system is not actually usable yet, but it's underway. And I think that the open source aspect of this ColorCoin application is advantageous because you don't have to have a Mastercoin or a Counterparty type coin that lives on top of the Florincoin. You only use Florincoin for that. So miners are incentivized to mine Florincoin because they are paid in fees that aren't Mastercoin or aren't Counterparty. They're paid straight in Florincoin. It's as if Satoshi Nakamoto made a color coin system that worked just with Bitcoin. So that's why I think Florincoin with the color coin system is advantageous. Obviously, other systems have advantages as well. But I think that my implementation and the way that color coin works in Florincoin is definitely something that can gain traction. And I'm open to having developers look at this and having other people come in and develop on the system. I think one of the first things I'm going to do with my friend is called Chocolate Bitcoin. So we actually own chocolatebitcoin.com, and you can buy chocolate bitcoins. They're little like foil gold chocolate bitcoins. But what I want to do to prove that color coin works is actually issue chocolate Bitcoin color coins. And when you go to the website, you can buy chocolate Bitcoin with dollars, with Bitcoin, with Florincoin, or you can redeem these coupons, which is essentially a bearer bond, to prove that the system works for any asset class. So color coin is advantageous for many businesses, and I'm going to apply it to my own business as soon as this is done. Obviously, I have a lot of work to do, but I think that this will really prove that the color coin system and just the overall concept of storing asset classes within the blockchain is advantageous to the community of the internet as a whole. So the second thing that I was going to bring up is the proof of existence protocol. Proof of existence, again, is when you prove that something existed during a certain block time. My friend Andre and I are 50% owners of Eterna Inc. And Eterna Inc. is a blockchain technology company in which we have released a product called Eterna Love. And the idea here is that you write a love message to someone that you care about, and it's sent to the blockchain, and it's timestamped, and it's signed with your signature, and it always can be read as long as the Florincoin blockchain exists, as long as people are mining, which I think people will be. You can actually view these messages in the Block Explorer, and keeping the transaction ID yourself, you can independently verify that the message was sent from you to the other person, and it's stored forever in the blockchain. So one thing that a lot of people have criticism of Bitcoin being too intensive and too technical. So Andre and I wanted to make Eterna Love really easy to use and accessible to the regular person. So last Valentine's Day, we actually released this to the web. And this is actually a website you can go to, eterna.org/love. And you can click on the Share Your Love button. And it brings up a simple web form in which you can put your loved one's name and your name. Or if you want to be anonymous, you could be a secret admirer. A lot of people in the Bitcoin community are very protective of their identity. And you can write your love message there and click on Send. And what happens is, actually, you post the message to the blockchain using our backend service. And the message is distributed throughout the network and mined. And this is what the front end looks like. Now, this software is actually completely open source. It's on GitHub. This was actually created at a hackathon, which was, I believe it was, I don't remember the name. I think Challenge Post hackathon. But yeah, now you can run your own Eterna Love node, and you can run your own Eterna Love website, and you'll be able to actually enable other people to use the Florincoin blockchain to put messages in there for people that they care about. So besides love messages and besides proof of existence, something that I'm very interested in is gaming. So I wrote a white paper on turn-based games in the blockchain using digital signatures. I actually have participated in world championships for games, and I was very interested in the chess ranking system called the ELO system. And this is a preview of one of the papers that I wrote, which goes into storing digital signed assurances that people's games were actually played and executed on the blockchain in a way that you can be sure that you actually beat the other person and the other person agrees to it. And there's a dispute resolution mechanism, and people's different rankings can be stored in a worldwide network. So there's no proprietary ownership over your ranking. You own your ranking. You own all of your items in the game or something. And this can be thought of as kind of like Zynga for the blockchain. You can store digital game points in the blockchain. You can store digital game rankings or history of your game in the blockchain. I know that there's a big thing in the community right now called Twitch TV. Twitch is where a lot of people watch other people play video games, and I think that having having a decentralized way to play games or a decentralized way to spread gaming around the community is something that's going to become really popular now in the future. So in the end, I would really like to see Florincoin grow, and I would like to, get as many developers as possible working on stuff like this. So actually, I modeled this. This is just like a diagram of how turns are, actually executed in the blockchain. I modeled it around the idea of the Satoshi white paper and the way that blocks are generated in Bitcoin. So to be able to get a lot of people interested in this and to be able to get the open source community interested in developing this project, I made it very similar to Bitcoin, and it runs on something that's very, very similar to Bitcoin, which is Florincoin. So yeah, that's Florincoin. Yes, question answer, yes, sir.
Florincoin sounds so cool with the
Thank you.
games,
Yeah,
the chocolate, and the love.
everything.
Awesome, but I was wondering, can Florincoin also be used to smash tyrants?
That's very true. Something that we've talked about a lot in the Florincoin community is using this decentralized network to make a Twitter platform where you can't be shut down and your voice can't be squelched and you can't be banned from the internet. Like recently in Venezuela, tweets were taken down, and in Turkey, I believe they banned YouTube during the elections. And this is a huge, and what? And Twitter, okay, they banned everything. Everything is banned. So there was a huge freedom of speech and human rights violations, but using a decentralized network like Bitcoin on top of Florincoin, where messaging is very easy to do and very easy to use, the possibilities are really endless. You can have anyone post any message and it's spread out throughout the world. You can actually have your tweets backed up, or you can use this system as a standalone way to send messages to the world. And we're actually going to build interfaces for that. I have a meeting on Saturday with a developer who's interested in making an iOS app and an Android app that will facilitate freedom of speech messages within the Florincoin blockchain. So yeah, great question. Thank you. Yes?
Actually, beyond that, could this actually be the basis of like a mechanism for people owning their own digital ID,
Yeah.
entirely? Like instead of your digital ID belong to Facebook or Google, essentially, you own all your information, it's in your blockchain, and you are
Yes.
basically, yeah.
So that's a great point, actually. Project Quixote and OneName.io, which are, I believe, ProtoShares and Namecoin, respectively, implementations, do those types of things. But it's totally possible for Florincoin to incorporate that type of data and that type of application. What I've done is I've made the block explorer that I created. I made the block explorer that I've created open source and freely available. I used PHP and MySQL, which are the most low-level and lowest common denominator technologies, so that it would be very easy for anyone to fork the code and understand the code and build applications of their own on top of it. So that's definitely something we can look at. I mean, we have 1,000 applications in the works. Yeah.
Just a little bit curious about the games and applications.
Sure. Shoot.
Have you ever heard of HunterCoin?
I have heard of HunterCoin. I like HunterCoin a lot.
What are your thoughts on that? And I know specifically with HunterCoin, bots have become a huge issue.
Yeah.
It's not playable anymore for humans.
Right.
It's not efficient. And,
Yeah.
can't really win against them.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on the introduction of bots within the blockchain and people kind of getting?
Okay, I'll start off this answer with a confession. I used to bot a lot in online games. I had huge farms of characters collecting online. Actually, my first foray into digital currency was botting and getting like lots of like WoW gold and stuff and selling it on this open market. So anyone that knows me previously would know that. But I understand that botting is a huge problem, and HunterCoin's vision of having a human mineable coin is a little bit difficult to achieve technically because of botting. Usually you combat botting by changing the protocol or changing the encryption of packets or doing like a human verification, like some kind of CAPTCHA, or having game masters actually come in and contribute to detecting bots. Within the blockchain protocol, I don't really find that it's possible to do that. But I really like the idea of HunterCoin. HunterCoin definitely came up with their own opcodes, which is really important. People should really be using Bitcoin in ways like that that actually extend upon the original scripting language that Satoshi came out with. So I give props to HunterCoin for that, but maybe their vision actually can't be completed. Great question, thank you. Any more questions? Yes?
If the blockchain can't be moderated, then who's responsible and liable for illegal or offensive content on the blockchain?
Great, I'm really glad you asked that question. I'm not a lawyer, I don't know, but I know that I have a filter on my block explorer where I could just type in an address or a transaction ID, and it actually deletes it from the front page. Although it's still actually encoded in the blockchain, you wouldn't see it on my website. I haven't had to use it. So Florincoin's been around for about 9 months, and I haven't had to censor anything. The idea is you don't have to, depending on your jurisdiction, as long as you're running the software and complying with the laws in your jurisdiction, then you can use the Florincoin blockchain to host whatever data you want. If you're under a very restrictive regime, then maybe you can depend on other people throughout the world to disperse that data for you and not have to have a government knock on your door and say, hey, you have to take this information down. So I leave it up to the user, but the idea is it's technically possible to do that. Great, yeah.
Incredible. It sounds so incredible.
Thanks. Thank you.
Just been brainstorming in it for a few minutes, hearing about this Florincoin, which sounds like the most revolutionary new implementation of the blockchain.
Thank you.
It seems to me like maybe it could be used to replace county centers for titles and deeds and
It's true.
record keeping and archiving.
You're right.
All these archaic services
Yeah.
that our benevolent leaders currently control.
You're right. Actually, using thank you, Austin. Using the messaging fields, you can store titles, you can store proof of ownership, and you can use digital signatures and other things to have this decentralized ledger store that information and hold that information. So it's totally true that you can do that. And actually, the County Center becomes the entire world's community because the internet is so connected to each person's computer and it's connected around the world. So that's definitely true. Thank you. One more question. Yes?
What's the size of the messaging fee?
Okay, it's 528 bytes. So depending on the priority equation, which is something that determines how much of a fee you have to pay in the native currency to put it into the blockchain, which is something that Bitcoin and Litecoin both have. If you have not a lot of inputs and outputs, you can put a larger message into the chain without paying a fee. Bitcoin and Litecoin both have about 1 to 2 kilobytes of free transactions that they allow per block. So you can actually put some free messages in without paying a fee up to 528 bytes. But if someone else is taking up that space or there's a lot of messages and transactions going on in the network, then you actually will have to pay a fee to see your message included in the block soon. Thanks, everybody. Here you go. Thanks, Teddy.